We've been talking about truth, lies, and equivalence, and now we turn to a special day here on The Beat. We call it Che Day. It's when political strategist and this cartooned operative, Che Komanduri, a veteran of 3 presidential campaigns, joins us. Thanks for coming back, sir.
Good to be back, Ari. How are you?
I'm great. We just walked through a lot of evidence, which was not to offer my view of our own channel's work, but to look at why a president you once worked for, Obama, and this current President Biden draw this equivalence and whether you think they are correct.
Well, frankly, it's unfortunately conventional wisdom in the media, in D.C., in much of the country, that Fox is a legitimate news source like MSNBC or CNN. The problem with this thinking is it is not true, and I would argue it is extremely dangerous. Fox traffics in disinformation and dishonesty about climate change, democracy, and COVID. If you took the advice that Fox hosts were giving to you about COVID, you could have possibly died. And I do think a lot of the anti-vax people, hundreds of thousands of them who did die, did exactly that. So the stakes are extremely high. This was a movement that Fox cheerled. This is something that was hypocritical on the part of Fox, considering that Fox itself has a vaccine mandate. It all makes Fox, to me, much closer to Alex Jones and InfoWars than it is to MSNBC and CNN.
So when Joe Biden says that, why, as someone who's so integrated into the Democratic Party, and as you are, and you've worked these campaigns, why does he say that? Do you think he says that because it's kind of a sop to centrism, and as you say, he's playing within the conventional wisdom that exists while privately trashing Peter Doocy and other Fox reporters because maybe that's what he really thinks? Or do you think the conventional wisdom has seeped in so far that he believes it?
Well, I don't think he necessarily believes it. I think he was actually saying that to appear more centrist, to appear more moderate. There is a bias in our culture, in the media, in D.C., towards this both sidesism. Both sides are essentially equal. The way the media covers the two sides here, the Democratic side or the Republican side, the Fox side, and the legitimate news side, is they cover them sort of like a bickering couple in a romantic comedy. Think of Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in You Got Mail, actually. I was going to say Sleepers in Seattle. No, it's You Got Mail, where they were the bickering couple, actually. So, the theory there is that, oh, can't these folks get along? Can't they get together? Can't they work things out? That's very much the media narrative. It's also the media narrative that tends to root for bipartisanship, regardless of the policy consequences for the American people. So I do think that is a major problem. The reality is, when you talk about Fox, you're not really talking about a romantic comedy. You're talking much more about a slasher film. Fox's information is out to kill democracy, and it does, and it has killed Americans. Fox News, in my opinion, is much more Freddy Krueger than it is Tom Hanks.
Fair. And then you look at the way they've covered recent events, which Biden's got to be aware of. Here was their coverage of the insurrection.
It does not appear violent. It's not like it's a siege, it doesn't seem. It seems like they are protesting.
An overwhelming majority of them, more than 99% had to be, were peaceful.
It is a constitutional right to engage in peaceful political demonstration. It is wrong to go after law-abiding citizens who are engaging in their constitutional rights.
Reports that Antifa sympathizers may have been sprinkled throughout the crowd.
So FBI operatives were organizing the attack on the Capitol.
All of that is misleading. Much of it is directly false, whether it was defamatory as a higher legal bar. I mentioned the lawsuits against them. What do you think at the political level, which is the other part of this, the Democratic Party needs to do?
I think we need to really push back on the idea that conspiracy theories are somehow equivalent to conservative opinion. They are not the same thing. I think a lot of people, for example, will listen to me and say, hey, you're a Democrat. Of course you feel this way about Fox News. Well, think about this as a thought experiment. Imagine if we had Bill Kristol or George Will running Fox News. They would not run a single segment that I, as a Democrat, would agree with. However, it would be nothing like the Fox News that exists today. The Fox News of Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Fox News of ivermectin enthusiasts, the Fox News that is the favorite news channel of Vladimir Putin and Viktor Orban. That is what Fox News has become. And I think that that disinformation is extremely dangerous. And I think it's very necessary that Democrats really push back on the idea that this Fox is really peddling conspiracy theories, not conservative opinions. And I do think Democrats have kind of done this on some level. I think Nancy Pelosi, by bringing in, say, Liz Cheney, someone she probably doesn't agree with on any single issue, except the fact that America should be a democratic country, has begun the process of distinguishing conservative opinion from conspiracy theories, from the kinds of things that we are seeing on Fox News.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it's a much clearer contrast, because when you listen to what we played from both Obama and Biden, it was a kind of a warmed-over beltway, noodle-kugel, if you will, that made the argument that somehow you'd have to get back to common facts by having less of Fox and a bunch of other types of media. The evidence we just showed and some of what you said is actually no. To get back to common facts, you have to remove the conspiracy theories wherever they are. And if the studies show, again, I'm telling folks, don't take my word for it. I quoted Poynter, WashPo, a bunch of other independent sources, quantitative research. If they all show that's where most of the conspiracy theories are, then to get rid of them, you got to go there. And you may not sound like you're matching the conventional wisdom, the kugel, as I call it. You just have to be clear about what the recipe is and bring people to that with the facts. So it's really interesting, because Biden said that, it caught our ear, but we've had a lot of other news, but I thought it made for a good Shea Day. And Jay Coleman-Dury, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Ari.